Here's something that sounds completely backwards, but I promise you it's true. Buying a $5 million apartment building can be safer for you personally than buying a $500,000 rental property. I'm a commercial real estate attorney. I've closed billions of dollars of deals on both sides of this line, residential versus commercial. Plus, I own a $100 million portfolio of multifamily properties myself. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 differences between buying residential and buying commercial real estate. The financing, the valuation, the process, and the one legal trap that if you stay to the end, you'll find out can genuinely cost you everything. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why the wealthy buy buildings and not houses. All right, guys, let's get into it. First, you need to know where the line actually is because it's a lot sharper than most people think. Residential real estate is 1 to 4 units, a house, a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex. Commercial is 5 units or more, or any property used for business, retail, office, warehouse, and yes, even apartment buildings. And that 5th unit, that's not just a number, guys. That is the exact line where government-backed home loans end and commercial lending actually begins. You cross it and everything changes at once. Your lender, your down payment, how the property even gets valued, and who's personally on the hook for the loan. Now, I've had people call my office completely confused about why their banks suddenly wouldn't talk to them anymore. One client converted a garage on his fourplex into a 5th unit. Great little renovation, added some additional income, looked really nice, but what he actually did is, without even realizing, he turned a residential property into a commercial one. Different loans, different rules. It's a different world, guys. 1 unit. And that moment you cross that line from 4 to 5 and beyond, here's the part that surprises you. The bank actually stops caring about you. When you buy a house, you see the bank underwrites you personally, your W-2, your credit score, your debt to income ratio based on the income that you bring home every day. You get a 30-year fixed loan. Your personal income is the ceiling on how much you can borrow. And that's exactly why most residential investors get stuck at 3, 4, and 5 properties. It's not the market that stops them. They are actually the limit. Their own paycheck caps their portfolio. Commercial is the complete opposite. The bank underwrites the property. The question is, does this building pay for itself? And there's a number for that. It's called the DSCR, Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Lenders today want to see roughly 1.25%. All that means is that the building brings in 25% more income than the mortgage payment costs. If the building qualifies, the deal works. Now, whether you personally make $8,000 a year or $800,000 a year. Now, I'll be straight with you. There are 2 trade-offs. Commercial down payments, they are bigger, 20 to 30% more typically, and commercial loans balloon. You get a 5 or 10-year term, and then you refinance or you sell. You don't get to sit on a 30-year fixed and fall asleep. But here's the part no one tells you. And as an attorney, this is my favorite part of this entire video. Agency loans on apartment buildings. They're called Fannie and Mae and Freddie Mac. They are quasi-governmental loans. Those are what's called non-recourse. That means that if the deal goes bad, the bank can take the building. Not your house, not your savings, not your kid's college fund, just the building. And that's it. Now that $500,000 rental house you bought, guess what? You personally guaranteed that. That means your name, your loan, your assets are on the line. Now, I negotiate these loan documents for a living. The only way you become personally liable on a non-recourse loan is through what's called fraud or serious misconduct. We tend to call that in the industry bad boy carve-outs. Run your deal honestly and follow the requirements of the loan documents, and your personal assets are protected. So read that back to yourself. The $5 million loan is often safer for you personally than a $500,000 one. That's not a loophole, folks. That's how the system was built, because the government wants to incentivize you to buy bigger deals. And guess what? It gets better, because with a house, you don't even control what it's worth. With a building, you do. The house is valued by comps, comparable sales, right? Your house is worth whatever the neighbor's house sold for. You can renovate the kitchen, you can landscape the yard, but at the end of the day, your neighborhood sets the price. You are a passenger. A commercial building is valued by its income. The formula is dead simple. Value equals net operating income divided by the cap rate. Let me show you what that actually means in real dollars. So say at a 7% cap rate, every single dollar of income you add to the property creates about $14 of value. So say you own 20 units and you raise the rents $100 per month. That's $24,000 a year in new income. Divide that by the cap rate. Guess what? You just created roughly $340,000 of value from a $100,000 rent bump. You didn't wait for the market. You didn't pray for the neighborhood to get better. You forced that appreciation. And I'm not giving you theory here, guys. I actually do this for a living as a real estate investor and as a real estate lawyer. For instance, I bought an 80-unit building in Houston doing about $160,000 a year in income. Our business plan was to take that past $500,000 a month in top line revenue. When we got there, the building is worth almost $2 million more than when we paid for it. Same building, same address. We just fixed the income and in turn forced the appreciation in the value. So that right there is the single biggest reason the wealthy buy buildings and not houses. Before you ever get to own one of these, you have to survive the buying process. And I'm telling you right now, it's nothing like buying a house. Now guys, before we keep going into this process, if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, Todd, I don't have the money for a commercial building anyway. I don't have this kind of money to put down. You're talking about millions of dollars here. I put something together for you. It's called the GP Accelerator Playbook. Inside, I'm going to show you exactly how people earn 10 to 20% of ownership in commercial real estate deals without investing any of their own capital, by bringing valuable skills to the general partnership team. So no large bank account is required, just the ability to solve problems, hustle, and create some value. This is the same framework I use to help my own students break into multifamily syndications and become GP partners. If you want a copy of this, just DM the word GP on Instagram or comment it down here below in this video, and I'll send it to you right away. All right, well, let's get back into the buying process. Buying a house is standardized. State-approved contract and inspection, appraisal, 30 to 45 days, and you're done. The forms are the same for everybody, and consumer protection laws are watching over the whole process. Commercial is different, completely different game. Let me walk you through it step by step. Step one, you want to buy something, you issue what's called a letter of intent. The letter of intent, usually 2 to 4 pages, mostly non-binding. It's how you open negotiations without spending thousands of dollars in legal fees on every single offer you make. Smart investors send out a lot of these because they don't know which ones the sellers are going to accept. Step 2 is what's called the purchase and sale agreement. This is the actual document. It's typically drafted by an attorney, and hear me on this. Everything in it is negotiable. There's no standard form. Typically, the PSA is going to match whatever clauses you put into the LOI, but every clause is a battlefield. The earnest money, the contingencies, the reps and warranties, who pays for what. I draft these documents for a living. I can tell you deals are won and lost inside the PSA. Step 3 is the due diligence process. 30 to 90 days where you actually verify everything. The trailing 12 months of financials, the rent roll, every single lease, the estoppel certificates from commercial tenants, and that's the tenant confirming in writing what they actually pay. You may get an environmental report, a property condition assessment, a survey, title review, zoning, confirmation, the list goes on. And here's the number that actually shocks people. The buyers typically spend $15,000 to $70,000 on third-party reports even before closing, before you actually own anything. And that could be a lot of sunk costs. So that money has to be available when you start this process. And let me tell you why that money is worth every single penny. I've personally watched due diligence catch a rent roll that didn't match the actual numbers. The seller was trying to hide numbers. The numbers didn't show tenants paying rent and simply were not real. Fake tenants. You can come across all sorts of issues in due diligence. Then and only then, your earnest money goes hard and then you close the deal. The whole process runs 60 to 120 days from beginning to end, sometimes longer. Now, why does all this diligence matter so much in commercial? Because of the part that keeps me in the business as an attorney. This is the trap. When you buy a house, the law protects you. Sellers are required to disclose defects to consumers. Consumer protection statutes have your back. If they hide anything from you, you have real legal remedies. In commercial real estate, there's a saying called caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. Those protections largely do not exist. The law assumes that you are a sophisticated party who can protect yourself in the purchasing process. If you didn't check that, that's on you. And here's the most brutal example of that I can give you. It's really an environmental issue. Environmental liability follows the current owner of the property, right? So not the person who causes the problem, but the current owner of the property. So picture this. You buy a small commercial building. 20 years ago, there was a dry cleaner in that building. This has happened on an apartment building that I was the counsel on. And it leaked and the solvent got into the ground. You skip to phase 1, you're for some reason your lender didn't get one either, but it saved you thousands of dollars, and that contamination is now your problem. So when you go to refinance, the refinance lender does pick it up and they find a phase 1, they cite you for environmental damage. The cleanup, which can run hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions, is yours, even though you didn't cause it. Doesn't matter. You own it. That's how the environmental laws are written. I've spent years of my career cleaning up after buyers who skipped critical steps in due diligence just to save a couple $1,000s, and believe me, it is not worth it. So let's recap the 5 differences that you need to be aware of. Well, number 1 is the line. 4 units or less, residential, 5 units or more, commercial. Crossing that line changes everything. 2, the financing. Residential lenders, they're judging you. Commercial lenders, they're judging the building. And the commercial loan can be non-recourse, which makes the bigger loans even safer. Number 3 is the value. Houses are priced by the neighbors. Buildings are priced by their income, and you control the income. You can force that income higher and force that valuation even higher. Number 4 is the process. Residential is a standard form, 30 days. Commercial is an LOI. It's a negotiated PSA. 60 to 90 days of real due diligence, getting your hands dirty. Number 5 is the law. Residential protects the buyer automatically. In commercial, the buyer who did it right is the only buyer who's protected. Residential is where most people start. Commercial is where wealth actually scales. I've lived on both sides of this line, folks, and so have my students. So if you're ready to cross that line, to go from single-family houses to commercial buildings to multifamily apartment buildings, or if you want to get your first commercial deal the right way, book a free call with my team. The link is right below in this video. We'll look at your situation and we'll show you exactly where to start. My name is Todd Robinson. I'm a commercial real estate attorney with a $100 million portfolio. I've spent my entire career on both sides of this line. Now you know which side to be on. Subscribe to this channel and I will see you guys on the next one.